You ever find yourself in a huge argument over something, well, tiny, like the way your partner loads the dishwasher, or you feel this incredible surge of rage just because someone cuts you off in traffic? It feels totally out of proportion, right? Well, in today's explainer, we're going to dive deep into Eckhart Tolle's teachings to figure out why we get so emotionally reactive, and more importantly, how we can find a practical way back to peace.
Okay, let's just start with this really provocative idea from Tolle. He says there's a part of us that loves being unhappy. Now, it would never, ever admit it, but it actually feeds on unhappiness. That sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? But, understanding this secret love affair with misery, that's the absolute key to unlocking why we so often create our own suffering.
So, let's meet the culprit behind all this. Section 1 is all about what Tolle calls the unhappy self. And this is where we're going to get to the bottom of where all that friction, all that drama really comes from.
I mean, it's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? Why is it that the people we're closest to, the people we love, can also be the source of our biggest irritations? From the way a partner eats to a chore they forgot to do. Why do these little things generate so much inner chaos?
Well, Tolle's answer is pretty surprising. He says it's not an accident. It's actually a feature, not a bug, of this thing he calls the unhappy self. Think of it like this. It's a part of your identity that feels strongest when it has something to push against. It gets its energy from complaining, from turning people into enemies, from just resisting whatever is happening. It gets a secret little thrill from all that drama.
Okay, so what is this unhappy self? To really get it, we need to diagnose the underlying condition. So let's move into Section 2 and meet the architect of all this unhappiness, the ego.
The ego, according to Tolle, is this totally mind-made false self. And here's the really crucial part. It literally splits you in two. See, there's the real you, the one who's present, and then there's the story of me, this mental image that your mind is constantly talking to, judging, defending, and trying to fix.
This slide just illustrates the difference perfectly. Think about a dog for a second. A dog just is. It's not walking around worried about its self-esteem, it doesn't love or hate its own body. It just exists, below the level of thought. But we humans? Oh, we're trapped in this constant conversation with ourselves, this self-narrative that generates pretty much all of our suffering.
So how do you spot this ego in your own life? Well, watch for that part of you that complains just to feel a little bit superior. Notice the part that needs an enemy so it can feel right. The part that's always kind of subtly resisting this present moment. And here's the biggest clue of all. The ego will say it wants peace, but what it really secretly loves is the fight. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. Now, how in the world do we find a way out? Well, this brings us to a really fundamental shift in consciousness. It's about moving from the mind stories to a much deeper sense of trust.
Now, Tolle makes a really important distinction here between belief and faith. Belief, he says, that's all in your head. It's a story you cling to, which kind of implies that you don't truly know. I mean, if you knew, you wouldn't need to believe, right? But faith, that's something different. It's not a thought, it's a feeling deep in your gut. It's this embodied trust that doesn't need a story to back it up.
And that's really the core of it. This isn't faith that you're going to get that promotion or that things will work out exactly like you planned. Nope. It's a much deeper trust that comes from connecting to that sense of aliveness within you right now. And when you tap into that, fear just naturally dissolves. What's left in its place? Well, that's faith.
Okay, that all sounds great, but how do we actually do that? How do we cultivate this state? Let's get into a really practical tool for dissolving all that inner turmoil by anchoring ourselves in the present moment.
So the very first thing to realize is you cannot win a fight against your own mind. It's impossible. Telling yourself to stop worrying is just another thought, adding more noise. Tolle uses this great analogy. It's like trying to hold the lid down on a boiling kettle with sheer willpower. You're just building up more and more pressure. So instead of fighting, we just make a gentle shift. Here's how it works. First, just recognize that the worrying isn't actually helping anything. It's just spinning wheels. Second, give up the fight. You don't have to push the thoughts away, just let them be. Third, find an anchor in the present moment. Your breath is perfect for this. Just feel the sensation of it moving in and out. And finally, and this is the most important part, when your mind wanders off, and it will, that's what minds do, just gently guide your attention back to your breath. No judgment, no frustration, just back to the breath.
You know, when you start practicing this, something really profound begins to happen. The very nature of what you call a challenge starts to transform.
So in our final section, we're going to see how life's difficulties can actually become your greatest allies for growth.
And this brings us to a radical, totally game-changing shift in perspective. What if the world isn't here to make you happy? What if its purpose isn't to cater to your every little desire? Tolle suggests the challenges show up for one reason and one reason only, to wake you up from the dream of your ego.
And just look at the difference this makes in practice. Before this shift, a challenge shows up and what do? You immediately resist. You fight it, you complain about it, you suffer. But after this shift, that very same challenge becomes fuel for your awakening. And why? Because instead of fighting reality, you learn to consciously align with it.
And this is the ultimate freedom. See, it's not about having a life with zero problems. It's about ending your inner war with reality itself. By aligning with the isness, the simple, undeniable reality of this moment, whatever it contains, you become free of unhappiness, which is really always just a form of resistance.
So, let's leave you with a question to carry with you. As you go about your day today, just start to notice. In what small ways are you making this very moment your enemy? Are you internally resisting the traffic jam you're in, the task you have to do, the person you're talking to? Just noticing that pattern without any judgment at all, that is the first and most powerful step toward real freedom.